Greetings and welcome to Shadowstar. I'm Captain Ri'shad, aka the Renegade, and this is Star Trek Online with a Starship visual review video. Yeah, she's not got her natural aesthetic on her at the moment, but allow me to introduce you to the Janeway class, or Voyager class, or Intrepid class. I've heard so many class names for this ship that it's a little weird. But this is a visual review and I'm going to change things up a little bit. So, first of all, we will discuss the customization options straight off. I meant to say this wasn't going to be long-winded in the stats review, but accidentally ended up being more so. Then we'll get on to the vanity shield options for the ship while we're at that. Once that's done and we've got through the majority of what most people are interested in for this video, we'll then discuss the actual stylistic choices of this vessel, break down the individual components that we can see, and it'll obviously be my personal take on the visual look of the ship and what each thing may be and how each thing may work. However, yeah, that's what I have to say. The last bit very much drops into opinion territory. But then again, that's what these reviews are. These are just my personal opinion. And I'd always love to hear your thoughts on the ship. Now, without further ado, shall we begin? Okay, so before we get to talking about the customizations of the ship, there is just a couple of things I want to quickly cover over, and that primarily stands to the special animation details of this ship. First of all, as you may have noticed, we're at warp at the moment. While you're at warp, all the elements are still moving. It's funny that it's vibrating at space at the moment, because I think this is a minor bug. But this ship does have a full animation for the whole body. The nacelles at the moment are showing most of it. I'll show you in customization it a little bit better, I hope. However, what we've got here is quintessentially emulation of the Intrepid class's warp. For those that don't know, when the Intrepid class goes to warp, the nacelles articulate, the nacelle pylons articulate to raise the nacelles up. This ship does exactly the same. Now, I do question this a little bit. Just to briefly go on this. It brings them up, creates line of sight, yes, but in my opinion, because of where the warp coils are, it would have made more sense for them to actually lower down. Also, I would have thought they would actually join to the ship itself. As we saw with Star Trek, with the cross-field refit, Discovery's refit, the nacelles actually connect onto the pylons when going to warp. And spore driving. Or spore jumping, should I say. It's, I do question why the source of the hole and the nacelles don't all join up in that warp, but okay, that's just a thing. That's just a thing, it's fine. They're all still in animation, it's quite good. I do think it's very nice to see that this articulation happens. The animation of the articulation also happens as you go into warp and as you come out of warp. So it's all there, the animation is working beautifully refined and beautiful detail. And the only time the animation doesn't activate at the moment is when you transwarp. So if you transwarp to somewhere, the animation won't happen. You just get a general normal transwarp animation. That's it. Okay, to the customization. Still believe it doesn't belong in there. Okay, so yeah. How to discuss this? First of all, the Janeway hull I'll go into when we're talking about the actual design elements of the ship, but there are things that I do want to niggle at. Yes, people have been complaining in the community that you don't get to swap the other Intrepid components with this ship. You can't put Intrepid parts on it. You can't put Pathfinder, Discovery. Yeah, that's kind of funny. And I understand where people are coming from. But personally speaking, I respect Cryptic's approach here. Because this ship has, as you may be able to see, a lot of animated elements. The saucer, the secondary hull. Sorry, the saucer, the hull, and the nacelles, they're all in animation, all constantly in motion. And quite frankly, I think having to add that animation element onto all the other components, but only for this ship, would have been probably creating more problems than it's worth. Quite frankly, I would rather they avoid a potential bug than to give us something extra and physically create a new bug. Cryptic's biggest problem is just the raw number of bugs, and they're not getting them fixed, and that is the issue. That is the niggly issue. So, avoidance of a bug, I'm approving of. Yeah, I would have loved to have used, because I like the Pathfinder, I would have loved to have used the Pathfinder parts in a weird segmentation on this ship. But I understand why we don't have them. Also because, well, can you imagine the Pathfinder if it didn't have its nacelles, sorry, if it didn't have its pylons or its neck? It would have that, what I call neutral texture, and hiding the holes, and that would just, yeah, no, I wouldn't like to see that. Even though it'd be nice to have those components, I wouldn't like to see that neutral texture added in just to cover up spots. So, yeah, I'm in no complaint about that. I mean, it's nice we still have the veteran hull. Glossing over a few. Type 7 is nice to look at on this ship. It's got an interesting touch and look, I will say. We'll gloss over again. We'll get to Type 5. I'm so glad they brought this back due to popular demand. It's such a nice hull type. It's one of my favourites. Sovereign is the one I was using, as you may be able to tell. Gives you that nice gold lip to the deflector. A few others do that as well. This ship definitely looks its nicest from below, doesn't it? Sovereign refit, you can imagine the differences that's caused. NX refit gives a very nice element to the deflector, which I'm quite fond of. It's one of my favourite looks for it. Of course, you have that hull as well. It looks nice on it. We've all seen the Janeway already. Intrepid, if it didn't look good, I'd have been disappointed. Let's be fair, we'd have all been disappointed if the Intrepid hull didn't look good, right? Galaxy feels fitting. I could easily fly it with the Galaxy and be quite happy. Defiant, not so much. I kind of get the Defiant one a pass. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel quite as right for me. And the Ambassador, for those that love the Ambassador hull texture. Me, I strongly give this one a pass, but yeah. Now, other definitive things I do want to note. We have no special bridge, which I think was a big oversight. They could have thrown the Discovery. Well, okay, we don't have a Discovery bridge. They could have finally given us a Discovery bridge. They could have, since it would have somewhat been fitting, they could have used the Vengeance bridge. I know some of you are probably thinking, the what? But think about the way Season 3 looks for a lot of things. The Vengeance bridge would have worked. They could have used the Kelvin bridge. That still would have worked. They could have used the Wells bridge, or a Temple ship bridge, or the Enterprise J bridge, or the Walker bridge. Or, failing all that, they could have given us a new unique bridge for the 32nd century. Maybe they will, maybe that will come down. Maybe in time we'll get that. If we do, Huzzah! Celebration! Hoorah! But that will come with time to see if we actually get that. We have all the window types that you'd normally expect to see, so that's relatively nice. Let's get out to looking at the shield visuals now. So let's get straight into it. I was going to use my other location that I was considering using before, but by all it's too dark in there. So I've already seen the Alliance Vanity Shield, just a heads up. But let's be fair. I like the Dyson Spear, and as long as you don't move too much, you don't get too much of the shadowing issue here, so let's have a nice look around. Hey! Well, the hangar bay doors look alright. Where is the impulse drive? Oh. Well, that's just weird. Sorry. Oh, we'll talk about that when I get to it, but yeah. For those wondering if that really is the impulse drive, there's your two blue streams of light. That's a thing. We'll also, well, you'll see the impulse drive shortly anyway. By all. Now we all know what the by all impulse drive colours look like, right? Now they're missing. Yay! You see how confusing this ship is? It's like you'll have the impulse coloration within the nacelles, and then suddenly they're not within the nacelles. It's like, okay, so where is the impulse drive? Show it to me. Seriously, this ship like has one nice viewpoint as well. One nice angle to look at it. That's not a good starship design. Damn! Okay. Bald Vanity Shield. Or as I refer to it, the Cooperative. Do you know I like that? I actually quite like the way this looks. Did I just suck my tit? I'm so sorry, people. Here I am, someone who gets really annoyed with doing that, and well, people that do that, and then I go and do it myself. Okay, Vanity Shield looks kind of okay, but it didn't really set my mind. Oh, aimed off. I know they're in different eras, but they are in the same show. You would hope that they translate well. Discovery Vanity Shield. Well, I like the purple blue effect in the in the Bazaar collectors. Oh, that's really made the walk coils pop too. Oh. See, this feels more, this whole type feels more appropriate than the Janeway hull. Which doesn't make sense to me. Emperor's Vanity Shield. Again, this feels better than the Janeway hull. Actually, it feels absolutely stunning. This is my... Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. It's a very nice looking ship with this on. Interesting to know what those orange glow elements would be. Orange glow elements on the saucer section. There might be the magnetic links between the saucer and secondary hull, but you never know. Hey, at least with this starship design, if you have to do an emergency launch of the saucer section, emergency separation, you don't have to unlock anything. Well, you do have to unlock anything. You have to unlock the gravimetric links between the two. But other than that, it's like, yeah, disable links, whee, it's gone. There's no unhatching and trying to separate without tearing each other apart. Wow, this one's not appropriate. Fikari Vanity Shield. So how many centuries do you reckon would have to pass for the ship to end up looking like this? Look at those warp coils. They are pretty. That moment you like the way something looks for one reason. Oh, I have issues. I have issues. How about a tissue? Not so much when I get a different angle on them, but yeah, I do like the way they look. I like the fact that they're purple. They're not normally purple, are they? They're normally red. Okay, then we go. Oh. Uh-oh. We're gonna put the Kelvin Divergence, aka the washout shields, onto this ship. The Kelvin Divergence is like the opposite of the trash can shields. Literally, trash can is too much rubbish. This one is nothing. What is saving this right now? I wonder what the saving grace really is. What has it done to the hangar bay doors? It's done the same thing the Sovereign one does. It's the only thing I don't like about the Sovereign hull on the ship. I'm not a fan. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I'm still not a fan. It's too... Well, as I say, washout is... It takes all the detail away. You end up with just basically white. Yeah. So let's add something back to it. Let's add some colour back. Medical vanity shields. I tell you what though, if this ship came to rescue me, I'd be feeling safe. Okay, is this a medical ship or a go faster ship? What the? Nice. Away! Yes, I just got up and ran away from the microphone. Okay, so to blatant myself here. That's not over the top. Like I said, I joked because it made me think Go Faster Stripes. It gave a bit of racing feel. Nice. I like it. It's a design choice. What the fuck is that? It's like pick a paint, fill in the squares. Oh crap, I did too many of the squares. Deflector or defend? Deflector looks awesome. I love that orange and green glow. It works really well. Would have been nice if we didn't have all that red around it. Okay, so the only thing I'm going to take away from this ship right now is something that it's helped me notice. And that there is something up here. It's copper at the moment. Might be RCS, I'm not sure. I've not noticed that until just then. That was terrible. Platinum vanity shields. Okay, so the top feels a little bit... I know what's going to happen and I don't want to do it. This looks beautiful to me. This looks stunning. If this is how this ship was introduced to in the show, I'd have loved the look. Absolutely loved it. I don't want to look underneath it. Because I've got a funny feeling the underside of the saucer is going to be absolutely plastered in the black hole material. I mean, I'll admit, before we look at it, I'll admit I feel like there should be a little bit more of the black material on top. Like, take the arrow piece in the center here, turn all that black minus the middle section here. That would have looked great to me. Or had some of the side stripping, like the lower strip of this black. Where the RCS thruster is. Well, you can see the copper RCS thruster on the saucer. That panel, you can sort of see separated there, ends with a black piece and obviously a little line cutting across it. Turned all that black, would look great. I fucking knew it. Deflector's fine. The whole deflector segment looks fine to me. Personally, they could have salvaged that by... You've got if you look at the forward segment, you've got the front silver, you've got a black segment behind it. Then it does it again. It cuts off with a bit of a whitish blue strip. Does the same thing again. It's sort of like a delta shape you can see going on there. It's following the shape of the saucer's actual arrowness, or the arrowhead shape of the saucer, and it's done in 5 segments. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you've got what might be the bridge. I'm not 100%. We'll talk about that when we get there. So if you want to count 6, that the final black centerpiece, what could also be an aero shuttle, I don't know. Well, if you look at it, you've got the segment with the name on, that is silver. Then you go a segment ahead and you've got the registration, that's black. The segment ahead of that, turn that silver, then go to the segment ahead of that, which is black currently, and then finally silver again. That would work for me. Doing that staggering, almost a zebra effect, would have saved that. I'm really thinking about ways of improving the way the ship looks, aren't I? I think I'm doing that more because this is one of those ships that I don't actually like the look of. I mean, hands up, I'm not an Intrepid fan. I am not a fan of the Intrepid class. Love the Sovereign, don't like the Intrepid. Love the Vesta, love the Luna. What I don't like about the Intrepid is its secondary hull. It's probably not helping me when I look at this ship, because to me I'm thinking of the same lineage. This ship does it different, but again I'll explain to that when we get there. Section 31 vanity shield. If we get there. At this point I'm discussing too much. It's like the NX hull, just not. Also, it might just be me, but I was expecting this ship to lose a lot more of its coloration, and I mean a lot more of its coloration. I was expecting no glowing elements to facades, and I was even expecting some of the warp coils to lose glow. Interesting to see that it's still there. Okay. Right, Aegis covariant shields. It looks dreadful. It looks absolutely dreadful. No. Yeah, I stepped away there. Error. Next one. No. For those wondering what's just made me walk away, my autistic brain just went no. Literally no at something. And I know it's small and minuscule and it really... Why do I care so much? But no. That should not be there. At least... Yeah, okay. When we get to it. Oh, it nearly made me cancel this recording. Assimilated regenerative shields. If you've ever wondered why I've not covered a ship visually. Right. Could you imagine if the Borg came in a similar... Oh, come on, Star Trek Discovery, bring the Borg back. Give us future Borg. We've already seen what future Borg can be like. Give us future Borg. Okay, now to answer the question. Where is the Impulse? The question has been answered. Poof! Deflected dish, anyone? Is it bad that I actually feel like this improved the look of the ship? I fucking knew it. I knew it! I mean, it's oddly angled, but this ship's... The Bazaar collectors are connected to the warp coil grid. Then you've got the outer warp coils as well. And finally, when you get towards the back, you have impulse and warp coils integrated together. Do you know what? That's totally fine. For time period standard, that's totally fine. They could have evolved into creating that kind of technology and integrating it in a way that is not dangerous. In fact, they probably managed to make the impulse more powerful by integrating it into the warp system. I mean, it kind of is anyway, but hey oh. Keep going around. Shame about the warp. You could have taken the warp nacelle component and flipped it a little bit, couldn't you? You've done it before. Why did you not do it on this one? I am approving of the fact that they are animated with the segments, so they're clearly attached to the design frame, so that's good. I was expecting them not to be animated with the rest, since the Borg stuff is so old in the game. Bajoran defense covariant shields. You're making it worse for me, Bajoran. You made it stand out worse. I mean, the Bajoran just looks really bad on the ship anyway, but at least it's not the worst thing, in my opinion. Counter command covariant shields. Oh. Oh my. Well, hello there. Do you come here very often? I'm sorry, but if you consider the coloration of the 32nd century phasers, this is just kind of fitting to go with them. Oh, wow. Why is it when I see the top half of it? So, with all the vanity shields so far, the top half always looks better than the lower half. However, this ship looks its best from below. That's awkward. Wait. I did not rotate around. It's weird. The part of me that makes me not rotate the ship is because to me you could see all elements of the ship from the get-go. Like, from right away, you can see all elements of the ship. I'm not sure how this is going to look. Okay, so Delta Alliance Unimatrix is normally one of the ones I don't like because of its glowing elements. But this ship has very... Well, it doesn't have huge glowing element plates to look bad. I take it back. Mind you, I only half take it back. The deflector is surrounded by what is normally the black texture, and normally the bit that I hate in the green glowing element is that black texturing that is added to it. For essentially no reason to me. If the black takes away from the green. Oh Lord have mercy, they could have done worse though. If they used orange, like we're seeing with the Bazaar Collectors to the warp coils, that looks great. Imagine if they did red or blue. Oh, yeah. Okay, in some ways I'm actually kind of glad they used the colour black. Black's my favourite colour. You know, I don't like the way something looks. If it's using my favourite colour, yet I still think it looks bad. How with such a small surface area did you manage to pull it into the warp coil? Or, sorry, the impulse array of the nacelles, into part of the nacelles. Do you know what? I'm glad they don't look as bad with different vanity shields on. Vanity shields that change this natural aesthetic look. Dyson regenerative shield time. Now this... See, this got the underside right. The underside looks good to me. Strangely. Not entirely sure why it looks good to me, but it looks good to me. Hello, you torpedo launching chamber. I know you're not a bridge anymore now that I've seen the torpedo launchers there. What the hell? Is that randomly flashing white? Is that just at random? I'm losing my mind. The deflector looks pretty good, I will say. It's interesting to see the elements of hull that wasn't changed from the Janeway hull type, because it's giving that a little bit extra life to the ship, and maybe it would look better if we used a different hull type on the ship beforehand. But that's only a maybe. Iconium resistance resilient shields. Let's see how you look. I had no thoughts going into this one because it could have been like anything for this ship. Secondary hull looks stupid. Nacelles look stupid. Parts of the saucer look nice, but the middle of the saucer looks silly. Underside of the saucer looks fine. Underside of the secondary hull, difficult. Sorry, it just had a bit of a shiver there. I'm not keen. Well, it's not as bad as some of the ones I've seen with it. Okay. So this Lucari is kind of like a temporal-esque one. Or Lucari I consider to be a temporal shield, much like the temporal Reps shield. So I'm hoping, due to the era standards, that we are going to find the Lucari works. You just have to have an organic feeling hull. The area where the windows are now Tron strips. And they work kind of well, actually. Yeah, they do actually work pretty well. How is the Lucari my favourite? again? There's one time I really liked the Lucari, and I like the Lucari on this one too. I'm never that keen on the Lucari. And like recently, it's, okay, Lucari, I'll give you that. You're okay. Mako resistance. Mako, I'm sorry, I'm gonna hate you straight away just because I'm gonna spot it. I'm sure I'm gonna hate you straight away because I'm gonna spot it. Unless I don't spot it. No, I spotted it. Well, it does add a nice feel to the ship. I'll give the Mako that. Mako, it's a real shame you can't change the way those look. Okay, next up we have Nakura. The Nakara Crystalline Resilient Shield, aka the Folians, aka yes, exactly what I was expecting. That looks nice. I also like the sort of lava feel to the Passage Collectors going into the yellow warp coils. Considering I was expecting them to be blue, I was very much expecting them to be blue. Like the blue you're seeing in the Impulse Array right now. And it's made the pinstripes really pop. I need to get a closer look at those pinstripes because I really need to see what that delta looks like. That might be a danger. Unless it's using the actual 32nd century delta. In which case, yeah, fine, whatever. Next up, competitive shields, or in my case, prevailing. To be fair, if these shields didn't look good on the ship, I've been raising some questions because there's no way these shields should look bad. Do you remember what I said about the platinum? Why don't I think the same thing here? There is an element I really don't like. As I'm going to describe them, the rupees, for those wondering what I'm calling the rupees, just look up rupees in Zelda and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about on these. You've got the rupees at the back of the saucer section. They look fine to me. A little bit out of place because they're weirdly blending into other parts of the hull, but they're fine. But what's with those weird rectangles, not rectangles, randomly blended in at a strange point ahead of the torpedo launcher? If they weren't there, I would really like the way it looked. This would be an insta win. Absolutely love the way it looked. From the upper section of the ship, it just looks absolutely amazing. It's only because it's got that stupid random element of rupeesing rectangles looking insanely out of place that I go from really liking the way it looks to hating it. Romulan Advanced Prototype. Combine this with a Janeway hull, hey? That's unexpected. The fucking rectangles are still... You ruined it! Absolutely stunning. Looks absolutely beautiful. Think it looks absolutely amazing right now. Nothing wrong with the look of this ship at all. This looks absolutely gorgeous. No, it looks like crap. Go away. No, don't get me wrong. The lower half of the secondary hull looks great, and the lower half and the sails look great. It's just that weird red. It's got to be a texture issue. That can't be intentionally there. No, that can't have been intentional. Temple defense. Okay, this is not allowed to look bad because of era specific. This is 31st century hull and a 32nd century ship. This ought to look good. I can't unsee the rectangles. Again though, the upper half looks really nice, and I do like, you can feel that the hull itself feels like it's not solid mass plate. You can feel the organic nature that it's supposed to have at this time period, and that's what I like. This is what the Janeway hull should feel like when we get there. Terran Task Force. Oh, now that looks nice. I saw it and didn't want to see it. Oh, the hangar bay looks really nice. Do you know what? This one looks just nice enough that I can ignore the rectangles. It's amazing how one thing can really affect my opinion on something. One thing out of place. Now, at the moment, this ship has two things out of place. Those rectangles and something else. I'm actually intrigued. Dielectric oscillating. The Breen shields. I'm intrigued. Oh, sorry. I didn't call them what I normally call them. The trash can. Hey, look, it's the trash shields. I was intrigued to see if this would add any other dimensionality to the ship. It does not. It adds very, very little to her. Jem'Hadar resistance, or resilience, sorry. This has to look good. Oh. Unsee it. There, it was never there. That. Ooh, the up. Ooh. Again. The nacelles look absolutely gorgeous, and the purple looks amazing on this ship. It's a critical shame about those random lavender coloured rectangles. Just spoiling the feel of the underside. At least it's a small thing that you can try to ignore. Half the time when you're fighting, you won't be able to see it. Oh no. The Marmite shield time. The Riemann advanced prototype. So, herein lies the issue I'm going to have here. You normally love it or you hate it. Most of the time, you'll have people that always love this shield on their ships. And you'll have people that always hate it. And then you'll have people like me, who love it on half the ships and hate it on the other half of the ships. But for some reason, no one seems to be in the middle ground of, I like it. I knew I was going to like the upper side. Knew I was going to. Because there was nowhere for the hexacombatants to be. I do normally like the honeycombs. Holy shit. I do normally like the honeycomb pattern. I tend to think it's quite a nice look to the ship. Quite a nice addition. First of all, too much of it. Second of all, the fucking rectangles are there. Third of all, no. Get off the ship. No. No, 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 no. Okay. Let's go from this. Let's take a look at the ship in demo record. We're gonna break down the visual aesthetics of the ship. Hope you guys enjoyed the bounty shields. To me, this ship looks at its best with nothing else on it. Well, let's just go in. Let's just go into this. Okay, so let's get to looking at the real beauty of this ship and trying to ignore the fundamental flaws. You know what? Okay. There's one thing I've got to say predominantly about this vessel. And that is, as much as the Intrepid class is not one of my favourite ships, by a long way actually, the crew of the USS Voyager is one of my favourite crews and has among my favourite characters. Hell, Captain Janeway is an absolutely brilliant captain. So, I really do approve of the Janeway class as a concept, an idea. If there wasn't a Janeway class... The only thing that disappoints me in the idea is that a Janeway class came so late, but I'm just glad we got a Janeway class. So, where do I begin? First of all, I'm going to attack the negatives because there is a couple of negatives, but so many good positives. Okay, so. First of all, the one thing I want to attack on first of all is I like the fact that they held the Voyager aesthetic and design. I do love the idea they came up with. I'm not sure if I'm 100% comfortable with the detached elements, and I'm not always comfortable with void space, like at the rear of the ship. Especially in the case of this one, that's on the first look that made me go, what? However, on an essence level, this ship grows on me, and I do appreciate the stylistic choice. And the detachment does speak to advancement. So in the 32nd century, again, that kind of makes sense. Though I have an issue with the fact that while at warp, the components do not rejoin the ship. However, I have seen elements where it looks like they could have rejoined the ship, and I'll talk about that when we get there. The only real gripe I have, visually speaking, on the ship is, well, yes, I like the design cues. The saucer design cue element there that looks very much like a Wales class, but it would have been nice to see a little bit more surface. Yes, lots of plating on the ship. May make you think, oh, but it's got lots of surface, it's got a lot going on with it. But to me, it's just a bunch of triangles. It could have done with a little bit more to make it feel a little bit more organic, a little bit more alive. That's my gripe with the shaping of the ship. It's not a big deal though, because for the most part, it is a nice looking ship. Now away from this, we're going to go underneath for a second. You guys know where I'm going. Right next to USS Janeway there. Of course I was going to name the ship the USS Janeway. I think the captain's awesome. There's that weird pattern mesh again. And to me, I'm sure they were going for something there, but if you look at the blend across the material there, that breaks it for me. It doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel The weird augment color change there does not feel like it belongs. And that's an issue to me. Finally, now, during the Vanity Shield part, something caught my attention. And it really teed me off. Now, from a distance, what do the torpedo tubes look like? Especially those front ones. Especially those front ones. They look a hell of a lot like the Star Trek Online variation of Discovery ships torpedo tubes. The torpedo tubes we've seen on the new Titan class, on the Baran class, the Giorgio class, not the Giorgio class, the Shenzo class, the Gagarin class, the Europa class. They had these new torpedo variants, and like this, like a distance, they look way too close to the same. Now, we get up close. Luckily, they are not the same. Because if I gotten into this part of the video, got into this part, talked about the thing that made me actually physically step away, going, no, no, no. Because in my autistic brain, there is no way Star Trek Online era tech would exist in the 32nd century on a 32nd century ship. If these torpedo tubes had been the same, which I'm all so certain they look like, I would have gotten to this spot here and probably gone, nope, and walked away again. Now, what I will state is this. I still have a gripe. Despite them looking different, I still have a gripe. We have learnt that after a certain era, I think it was the 30th century, Starship design led to weapons not being fundamentally on the surface at all times. This is why these little vents that you're seeing, I'm pretty sure, are nanite vents that allow the nanites to disperse on the surface of the hull and help repair things at a quicker rate. Of course, it's within the organic hull as well, but yeah. But note on that, I said organic hull. It should have a level of organic hull. Maybe the organic hull is now closer to metallic again. That's fine by me. I'm fine with that. But a bio-android is in Picard. So what's to say you can't have biosynthetic nanites for the hull? That works totally fine with me. And they're just more metallic than organic in composition. Fine, it's fine for the hull type. But those weapons, those torpedo tubes, shouldn't be sitting there. Because by this era, in Federation design, weapons were not a fundamental standpiece on a ship. They were not always there. You didn't have beam strips anymore. You didn't have, well, you did have beam strips, but they would materialize on the surface of the ship to function. They weren't always on show. They were like the Kelvin universe where they got deployed. Now, yes, it looks like there could be a hatch there. If that's supposed to be an animated hatch that covers up the torpedo tubes, totally fine. That completely fixes it for me. So that means the torpedo tubes aren't always on show. And yes, torpedo tubes will have a solid location because they're firing torpedoes out of them. And you're not going to be synthesizing torpedoes on a random go for every torpedo you want to fire. So you will have a location storing torpedoes. And thus you will have a standard torpedo launcher location. So that's fine. It just, to me, it needs a way to shroud itself and keep itself out of visible sight. I'm glad to see the torpedo look is different. Kind of a shame it's not animated, but oh well. That being said, that is 6 torpedo launchers there, by the way, guys. That is 6 torpedo launchers. It's a good thing a flagship has such power, hey? Now, we'll run around to the back. And I will bring up the 6 torpedo launchers we have at the back here. And we will talk about the first of something that I quite like on this ship. The hangar bay. The hangar bay is well thought out. And actually, I think it's in quite a well-chosen spot. You see, I like the fact that it's a shutter door. It doesn't have to be a shutter door, but I like the fact it's a shutter door because, what can I say? I like the shutter door aesthetic. It could have been a solid hard light force field, or just a force field in general. But hey, this is cool to me. And I know people complain that Star Trek Discovery never closed its shutter bay doors. It didn't need to. That's not how force fields work. The force field would keep everything in the hangar bay. So even when it shoots off the warbird, does a random jump, things aren't flying out the hangar bay in the process because the force field is in place. That's how they work. But it is nice to see a shutter bay door in use, and I like the fact that USS Janeway is across it. Now, away from that, let's talk about the dead zone, the void space that's randomly sitting here. Now, at first I was thinking to myself, it's a good place for registration. Why has it got random void space? And are those beam strips? Yes, I thought they were beam strips. My first thought looking across a lot of the ship is, are those beam strips? Now, if you look at the way they're positioned and the shapes they take, they could still be beam strips, they could be weapon points. What I think they are materialization spots. So they're not actually beam strips as such, but they are locations on the ship where weapons can materialize. That's what I would fundamentally believe them to be. Same for these points up here. So you've got some lighter points that probably form up cannons, and these will probably form up beam strips or heavier outputs, beam outputs. The reason I say this is because this is an era of the Federation where technology is so hyper advanced. We had the Whales class that organically created its weapons across its hull, and it could change a weapon between a phaser emitter into a tractor beam, back into a phaser beam emitter, into a torpedo launcher. It's just something it could do. Oh yeah, that was something it could do. So fundamentally, yes, by the 31st century at least, they did replicate torpedoes on use. Most likely. So you don't really need a torpedo hardpoint. So how can we justify the torpedo points? How can we justify more visible weapon points? What are these? I think those are the emitters. This bit here, I'm pretty sure, is to help protect whatever that's supposed to be. I think that's the secondary deflector. If I was totally honest, I'd say that's probably the secondary deflector there. And my brain is going to go on this. After the burn... No, hang on, we can't say that because this ship was in use before the burn. Something was going on around the era that the burn happened, around that age of Starfleet and the end of the Temporal War, that resulted in ships being more visible with their weapons. Let's just go with that. Something must have happened to bring the weapons to the surface again, to have weapons more ready. Now, if these are weapon points, that's fine, but I do prefer the idea of thinking that they just release nanites and that the weapons are synthesized on the hull of the ship when necessary. Back to the void space where I was originally. I noticed one thing about this. It took a while, but I noticed one thing. So if you take that void space and we come under the ship, what looks very similar to that void space? It's only that torpedo launcher's there, isn't it? I have a theory, and it goes on a lot of the points of like, why is the registration there? And there. And there. I feel like initially in the design, it was designed so that when this ship goes to warp, the secondary hull rotates and that void space clamps onto the same zone that has the, what essentially is the torpedo launcher on this ship, the forward arc torpedo launcher. And that came more from the fact that you have more of these panels here, and it was just making me think, were they designed so that they could clamp together? They're almost the right size for each other. I feel like that might have been a thought path that then got dropped, but they kept that in just for this design aesthetic. That and the fact that, let's be fair, deflectors should be facing forwards. Yes, it's got a deflector on top of it, but it's more suitable to have the primary deflector facing forwards. So that was my thoughts on the void space. Now, another thing I want to get at here is the shape and the arrowhead. Now, obviously I dissed it. To me, it's a bunch of triangles knocked together. So why do I like the arrowhead? Why do I like the saucer? I like the saucer because it, one, as I've stated, shows a design lineage almost to the Whales class, and you can see Whales class inspirations in the flow and the organic feel of the shape. This part of the ship is the only part to me that actually feels organically alive. Unlike the back of the ship, it's too flat. The top surface is too flat. This one doesn't even suffer from too flat because it's got that torpedo pod, but and it also sort of arcs and droops. It's kind of flowing its shape towards the front. The secondary hull is just flat, and that was my problem with the secondary hull. The saucer itself also has some other nice things going for it. The weird paneling that's almost looks like it's raised off, well, it is raised off from where the windows are, gives this ship an armored feel. You can tell that this isn't the exploration ship of the time, although Voyager would have been an explorer and research vessel. This ship is more armored, so this is probably an Admiral ship. And considering how it's used in the show, yeah, it's a flagship, it's a lead ship. And I'm totally fine with that. I like the fact that it does look armored, it looks reinforced. Yes, I'm griping on the whole material a little bit, but at the same time, I like the way the whole material looks. Maybe it feels like they took a step back with the whole material by being more metallic, but you can explain away that and make it sound or feel at least more advanced in an aspect. So I do quite like the way that looks and feels. Last thing I want to talk on, nacelles. Why? Because now I'm at my favourite spot. Oh yeah, I do still feel like they should join onto the ship. They should connect to the ship when we go to warp. I love the fact they articulate. I wanted to look at that pinstripe, didn't I? So yes, he's using the 32nd century pinstripe. Well, Delta, that's fine. Well, he's using the Discovery 32nd century pinstripe. Not entirely sure it would have done that, but hey, it's fine to me. It looks good. I like the fact they remembered to change that. I do think the pinstriping looks amazing down it. The shape of the nacelle is my favourite aspect, though. on so many levels. Now, honestly, if you take it from this angle, the way it's looking at the moment, and attach that onto the side of, say, a Defiant class, with the vented warp coil / impulse array on the outside, so the registration is looking out rather than in towards the ship. Put that on something like a Defiant class in the 32nd century, I would psych that up, because these are some of the nicest looking nacelles I have ever seen. I like the integration between the impulse and the warp coils. As much as it feels a bit weird to see that done, I do still think that looks really nice and functions really well. I think the Bazaar Collectors look absolutely amazing. I like the way the Bazaar Collectors, excuse me, just plonk around there. I like the way the Bazaar Collectors flow from the actual Bazaar into the actual warp coils, and the change in coloration is beautiful for that matter. Hello, still coming through all you. It's a little bit awkward seeing all these things up close, isn't it? If you look in there, you can sort of see how things work. So you've got the ring around it. The outer ring is the warp coils. The function of the warp coils in essence. With the central bit, I believe, being the impulse array. And I would love to hear the theory technology behind that and why they say that works. I like the fact they've still got the venting hatch at the back to vent plasma from. And then you've got this final little warp grid. You don't need external warp coils that face outwards. They're not actually all that necessary, but I do like the fact they've added it, because it just gives that bit more life to the nacelle. And that's why I'd be happy to lose it to see that attached to a Defiant class, or they can even keep it while it's attached to a Defiant class. 32nd century Defiant, should I say. This is... Oh god, I really want to see a 32nd century Defiant now. The nacelles are definitely my favourite aspect of this ship's design. I'll admit, she didn't have a lot of hope from the get-go, because, well, you guys know me. I am not the Intrepid fanboy. By quite a distance, actually. But, well, as much as I might not be the Intrepid fanboy, I will still hands up and say this. She is a good looking ship. I do appreciate and like her design lineage quite a bit, actually. I'm glad to see that Captain Catherine Janeway got a ship class named after her. That's far too fitting to have done. I do look forward to seeing the rest of these ships turn up in the game, because we all know that's coming. Can't escape that one. I'm just hoping STO gets a little bit more creative. Instead of just taking ships from the show, they also come up with a few of their own. Let's see them come up with 32nd century Vesta, 32nd century Defiant, 32nd century Galaxy. I think that would be awesome. With that being said, can I just say to everyone, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate you taking your time out of your day to watch this video through. I would love to hear your thoughts into this ship. What you think about her, what you liked, what you don't like. And, actually, on a further note there, can I just say a massive thank you for you taking the time out of the day to actually watch this video to the very, very, very end, because this is a very long video. So I just want to emphasize on that. Thank you. If you've enjoyed the video, I hope that you may give it a like to help out the YouTube algorithm. Hope that you'll subscribe to see more of this content in the future. I don't just work on Star Trek Online, I do other things as well, but Star Trek is the main premise, I guess. And a massive thank you to the people currently credited on screen, my Patreons, my donators, my Twitch subscribers. Because I couldn't be doing this without you. I wouldn't even have this ship right now without you guys, so... seriously, thank you. Thank you, all of you, for your massive support. Hopefully, I'll see you all next time. If any of you do wish to join the donators, the links are in the description, along with my Twitch, my Discord, and my Twitter. And remember, guys, stay safe and live long and prosper, my friends. Ciao for now.